Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. For the past few years, I've been working inside the StoryADay programs on sharing a framework for the writing life that I call iWriter. And now I'm ready to talk about it more widely in a series of articles starting today. The iWriter framework underpins everything I do here to help you build a sustainable, joy-filled, productive writing practice. When I speak with fellow writers about what's holding them back, we rarely talk about a lack of writing skills. They have those, or they know where they can improve them by taking classes and getting feedback. What we end up talking about is their frustration with their own perceived lack of progress, success, or motivation to stick with their writing practice. They'll tell me things like, I want to write, but I can't seem to find the time. Or I start projects, but I haven't got the motivation to finish them. Or I feel like I've been working on this one story forever, or I'm not sure I'm meant to be a writer. Over my decades of being a writer and working with other writers as a workshop leader, a speaker, a publishing associate, and a coach, I've come to realize that there is a very simple reason for this frustration. There's so much more to being a writer than the act of putting words on the page. And most of us don't notice or acknowledge all of the parts of being a writer that we're trying to do. And worse, we fail to give ourselves credit for all of the hats that we're jamming on to our overcrowded heads. We have to be idea machines, inventors of world, subject matter experts in all aspects of that, from psychology to economic systems and complex societal interactions. We have to be experts in character creation, suspense, dialogue, pacing, story structure, descriptive writing, and satisfying conclusions. We have to be project managers for our own stories. We have to be administrative assistants who can type and format our work and design filing and retrieval systems for those works. We have to be time management experts. We have to be motivational speakers for our tender inner writer. We have to be harsh but fair editors of our own work. We have to be our own research assistants who find details for our stories and publishing opportunities for stories, essays, and articles. We have to be professional, persuasive writers who can convince agents and editors to publish our work. We have to be PR professionals who can nurture audiences of readers, including responding to fans and eventually managing parasocial relationships with those fans online and in the real world. We have to be technically savvy enough to do everything from typing to formatting to producing social media content to promote our work. And we have to be productivity analysts who can develop systems for doing all of this over and over again through every season of life without losing hope or losing our minds. And all of this has to be done in moments that are stolen from our real lives, where we must earn a living, keep a house, manage family relationships, maintain friendships, and find ways to keep ourselves healthy enough to continue to exist. Of course we're overwhelmed. Of course we feel like we're failing. I've talked a lot over the years about the need to define success and the dream of being a writer for ourselves. Some of those markers of success can be external validation, publishing acceptances, positive review and feedback, big deals from well-heeled filmmakers, fingers crossed. But to sustain a writing practice, we must have smaller, daily markers of success that we can point to and notice and celebrate. How on earth are we supposed to decide what those are? My argument is that there are many different modes of being a writer, and that in order to find success, we need to feel ourselves being successful in each of those modes, which means, first of all, defining them. And this is where my iWriter framework comes in for the writing modes. Here's how I break down the different modes of being a writer in order to help people like you and me find success at every stage. So the first mode of being a writer is the I of the iWriter framework, imagine. This is all the work that you do to imagine yourself as a writer, give yourself permission to write, as well as generate ideas and come up with all of that part of the imaginative work of being a creative writer. W is for write. This is the actual wordsmithing and adding to the word count part. It's the easiest to see as a measure of success or failure, but it is only one part of your practice. Refine. The time that you set aside to analyze what's going well in your writing, what's working in your writing practice. This kind of analytical work can feel unproductive, but some days it's easier than others. And it feels like maybe something you ought to skip in favour of inflating that word count. But future you will thank you for the work that you do here in the refine mode. Improve. You're in this mode on days when you're actively working to improve a piece of writing or building skills through classes and exercises. Again, this can feel a little like treading water, but when you time it correctly, it is kind of essential. Triumph. This is the criminally neglected writing mode of celebrating our successes, small and large. Behavioral scientists, psychologists, and yes, even animal trainers all nowadays recommend positive reinforcement to build good habits and promote good behavior. We must build this into our writing practice if we want to stick with that practice. And it's hard because we've been told to be modest and we've been told to not to toot our own horns, but it really is important to take time to notice our successes. The E towards the end of the I Writer acronym is for engage. Sometimes writing looks like engaging with other people. Yes, writing can be a solitary act, but if you want to keep at it, and if you want to be read, you're going to need to spend some of your time engaging with other writers, with readers, with publishing professionals, and with booksellers. And the final R of I Writer is repeat. While you'll never write the same story the same way twice, there are parts of the writing life that do repeat and that don't require a lot of creativity. They don't need to be reinvented every time you approach them. Taking time to spot patterns in your writing life and put repeatable systems in place to streamline them will free up your brain to use its best creative energy inside your stories instead of constantly reinventing how to submit stories, how to generate ideas, how to deal with the sackfuls of fan mail that are coming to your door. Building systems, engaging, learning to celebrate your own work, improving your skills, refining your processes, imagining yourself as a writer and creating all of those wonderful imaginative ideas, as well as putting words on the page. They are all parts of the writing process, and you need to give yourself credit for all of them. My final tip today is about matching the mode and the mood. So one mode of the writing life may feel easier on any given day. Some days you want to add words to your work in progress. Some days it's really easy to reach out to other people. Some days it's really comes easily to you to analyze what you've been up to and codify that and say, okay, I can see how I can improve my output. Other days it might be easy to find the successes, or maybe if it was necessary to go through your archives and gather some successes for yourself. Sometimes a deadline or a promise that you've made will mean that you have to push through and work in a mode that feels harder. Some days you just have to improve, you have to be revising your work because a deadline's coming up, even if you feel like writing new chapters for the side project that you're working on. Sometimes you have to ignore that urge where your natural energy goes because of a deadline or a promise or obligation. But the more you allow yourself to be in tune with what's coming easily for you based on your energy and other things that are going on in your life, the more that you allow yourself to keep pushing forward in your writing life, paying attention to what mood and what mode is coming most easily to you that day, the more progress you're going to make and the more joy-filled your writing life will be. You can't always just do what we feel, but paying attention to what's easy on any given day is not a sin. It is allowed to feel easy. Some days, you're not going to add words, the word count. You're not going to be able to write that new scene because you need to step back and do some of that imagination work. You need to either do some mindset work on, yes, you are allowed to be a writer, or you might need to say, what's actually happening? What's happening next in my story? What ideas do I have for that? What's the right idea for this scene? And maybe you won't add any words to your scene today, but maybe tomorrow you'll add twice as many as you would have, and they'll be much better. So paying attention to the mode that feels easy on any given day is something that's worth practicing. And by accepting that there are different modes to being a writer, being willing to allow yourself to feel successful in different ways, that's all going to make it much more likely that you stick with this writing thing and that you notice the progress that you're making in all the different areas of your writing life. I'll be back to talk more about each of these modes, what they look like at every stage of every writing career, and how to be successful in each. But for now, I'm interested to hear, what did you think? How much time do you spend in each of these modes? Do you neglect some of them entirely? Do you allow yourself to count them all as contributing parts of your writing life? Did some of these definitions surprise you? What questions do you have for me? Leave a comment and let me know. Thanks for listening. Why not come over to the blog at StoryADay.org and check out this week's writing prompts and articles. And in the meantime, have a great creative week and of course, keep writing.